Well, hello, class. I'm going to uh, show you through on how to do the Chapter 4 assignment. Okay, so tomorrow you're going to go into your classroom site. Um, I'm just going to click on how I'm going to get to it. So eventually, tomorrow morning, you're going to get the Chapter 4 assignment. It'll look something like this. You'll get a couple documents. You'll get a PDF, which you can look as a guide, or you can print it out and do it on that itself and then scan it back to me. Or you could, and so the document looks like, uh, hopefully it loads here at some point. Here we go, like this. So you just print her out. Okay. And regardless, whether you use this or not, or if you use the Google Doc, you can print this out and it will help you kind of get through some of the questions uh, instead of, going through the Google Doc. But anyway, so I'm going to show you the Google Doc here real quick. So if you happen to open up the Google Doc, you can directly go through that document and fill in and type in the answers as you go along there. So I have it set up. Everyone's going to get a copy. You'll be using Chapter 4 in your textbook. Once again, if you need access to your textbook, textbook is found right here. Notice how you have all the chapters here. Chapter 4 would be right there. You just click on it and eventually it will load. Okay, so there's your Chapter 4 right there. So now you go through and you answer the questions. Notice how the totals were 75. I will, put that in after. But type your answers in below where the question is. Difference between individual collective rights, provide examples. Make sure you do both for the 2 points. Who holds collective rights? So list the 5 groups that hold collective rights, and then why do only certain groups have collective rights? Make sure you answer both of those questions. Task 2 is I would like you to refer back to the PDF as far as this goes. Let's go back to the PDF part on this. Okay. It says bonus points, don't do this. It says recreate the mind map found on page 122. And the reason why I'm giving you some bonus points on this is because some of these questions are a little bit difficult to do on a Word document or the Google Doc document. It's just hard to redo something that normally you would just draw out. So if you go back to the assignment, recreate it. So don't worry about that one. Task 3, make sure you look at the mind map right here that's found in your textbook. Okay. Task 4, obviously the first question you don't need to do. That's this one here. It's already filled in. The second question, you'll have to kind of draw from your reading and understanding to have you answer that question. You'll look at the logo, which is found right here. Task 5, read pages 124 to 135 carefully and complete the chart below. Use the exemplar as a guide. The exemplar is found here, okay? And that coincides with the information found on that first page of this, and that would be on page 129. Okay, so you'll look at the dates of the source. The green's always going to be the First Nations. They're always going to be the top of the two. The blue is going to be the Canadian government. They're always going to be the bottom of the two. As you can see, following along, 1876, the date of the source. Treaty 6 negotiations is the source. What's the main idea? And does it affirm First Nations? Affirm just means does it support it? Does it not support it? The Canadian Equivalent source on the bottom of page 129 is from 1876. This is Alex Morris, Treaty 6 negotiations. It lists the main idea that's found within that quote from Alexander Morris. And if it affirms First Nations, you'd have to decide for yourself. So you're going to go along, this first one here, and then I'll just kind of turn to this one. You'll find the sources on page 130. You'll have to identify if it's a person, identify the person. If it's a photo, just say 1910 photo. Okay. If it's a quote, say it's a quote from someone, etc. What's the main idea from that source? Does it affirm First Nations? Yes or no? Do the same thing for the Indian Act of 1876. Go through that. This source is found on page 131. You have the perspectives of Treaty 7 from the 1920s, 1930s. On the top, Canadian government, you have 1879 residential schools. Okay. All right. And then continuing on, you have Treaty 6, 7, 8 from 1939. And then the other one is 1939. So you need to identify the source. And like I said, a source could be a quote, a source could be an organization, a source could be a person, um, a source could be a picture. Okay, so you just gonna have to identify it. Main idea, does it affirm First Nations? Okay, 133, you have sources from 1970 and 1969. Continue on, 134. You have sources from 1980 and 1982. Okay. And then finally, you have sources from 2007 and 2005. Once you're done all those, and like I said, that whole section is worth 24 marks. So, try to do a pretty good job on that. Okay. Um, you have a question that deals with all that assignment altogether. Okay, that's worth 2 points. Task 6, it says using what you've learned from chapter 3, which was the previous chapter, as well as the information on 137. Okay. Explain the important elements of the Indian Act. Okay. Task 7 is you're going to watch a clip, briefly explain the perspective. Is it pro First Nations? Is it pro Canadian government? What evidence is the person? So the easiest way to go to this link is that you just click on it, and the link would be right there. You watch the video. It's about 4.5 minutes, almost 5 minutes long. So you'll watch the video. It's Patrick Brazeau. So you have that. Answer the question. Once again, it's a 4-point question, so answer all the sections of the question. All right, you'll define these 3 terms. Fairly simple. Task 9, it says identify and describe 2 sections of the Charter Rights and Freedoms that deal with official language rights. And that would be found a little bit later in your chapter. See if I can find it for you. Okay. Found on page, looks like 145. Okay. So you'll look on page 145 for that. Continuing on, more terms, now dealing with Métis, inherent right and script. And then the final section is going to you're going to be creating notes, creating a timeline, and you will look to pages, looks like starting on page 152 all the way through 158 to help you with that last question. Notice that that's worth 18 points. All right, this is just a short video to kind of explain what to do on this assignment. If you have any further questions, feel free to give me a shout. More than likely, I'm going to do a lesson based on chapter 4 here in the next couple days, but there's quite a bit to do with this assignment. This is probably meant for you to take a week's time to do. So, this will be something you'll be working on the rest of this week and then probably into a little bit of next week. Okay. All right. Take care.